if I could give one advice to any man that's listening right now, whether you're in your 20s, maybe you're in your 30s, wherever you are in life, whether you're happy with it, successful, and you're ripping and rolling, or maybe you're unsatisfied with certain things, I think the best thing you could do is look in the mirror, be honest with yourself, and do an honest assessment of your life and how you show up in it. And no judgment, just honesty. Just honesty, man. Okay, where are you crushing it? Where are you falling short? Where can you do better? And where have you maybe kind of eased up a little bit and rested on your laurels? As men, we tend to lean on our talents, right? Like, okay, I'm always good. And, procrastination was one thing I did a lot because guess what? I found myself to be effective. And if anything, I felt like I performed better under pressure. So I'd wait till I'm down to the wire to really get it done. And then I would crush it. And I'm like, oh yeah, see, I could do it. Great. But how much unnecessary stress, or if a problem pops up and then I have to adjust, how much unnecessary readjustments do I have to make based off of me resting on my laurels? Because sooner or later, life is going to humble us and punch us in the face. So I think if we could take an honest assessment of ourselves, I do personality tests, enneagrams, even ask your closest friends, honestly, like, hey, man, can I ask you something? No judgment. Answer this honestly, and give them a list of these questions. How do I show up for you? What do I need to work on as a friend? What do you identify as my strengths? What do you identify as my weaknesses? And ask some of your closest friends that, and then treat it like a survey. Let's say you ask 4 or 5 people, you look at the answers. What are some of the matching answers that you see at least 3 times? Those could be some indicators of the truth, right? Because everybody's going to have their perspectives, and someone's perspective or perception might be their reality, but it doesn't make it true. But when you have enough people that have that similar perspective, that's where you could start to extrapolate, okay, maybe there's some truth to this. This is what I need to work on. Maybe there's some truth to this. This is my strength. And that gives you clarity of self. But what that gives you also is the clarity of next movement. When you have clarity of where you are and you know where you want to go, those are the 2 destinations a GPS needs. So a lot of us might have a destination, a goal in mind. A lot of the guys listening, I know we are ambitious. I know we want to accomplish things. But if we don't do that first step of looking in the mirror, getting an honest assessment of where we are in life currently, there's no way we can get to our destination, because the GPS can't get you to the destination without knowing your current location.
Very true. So, Ted, when was the time when you were like, so you talked about this thirds thing, like third with people you're mentoring, third with people around, your level, and then a third of your time with people ahead. When did you flip from being like the young guy in the group to actually like taking on some like, mentorship with younger fellas?
Ooh, probably a few years ago. And what's interesting, through my journey, maybe even earlier, but I think consciously, like very intently, would be within the last year and a half. Because I also, we talk about ego, but we also talk about, there's also self-esteem. I also didn't think I had anything to give until I identified what my expertise and my skill set was. So that's about a year and a half ago. But I would say a few years ago, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. My friend group looked a little different. And some of the friends I had, I was more of that mentor, or more of the older friend to some of my friends who were figuring things out. Now, I must also say, and you probably experienced this moving away from home, age and maturity are not the same thing. I've met a lot of people older than me who are more immature than I would like to hang out. And I've met a lot of people younger than me who are more mature and line right up. So I've found that the maturity level of my friends are very much there, but I might have experienced a little bit more life than them, right? There's life things that happen, whether it's marriage, having a kid, relationships, starting a business, things that we've done before each other. So we might be just as mature, but again, when we talk about these relationships and these mentorships, it's not age, it's what have you accomplished that I need help accomplishing, right? I very much like, just because I might be older than you, Will, doesn't mean you can't mentor me on things. And I am more than happy to seek your expertise and pay good money to learn what you know, because it's going to help me get to the destination that I'm trying to get. So that was maybe the last 4 years. But I would even say with my old podcast, No Rain, No Rainbows, dear friend of mine, Charles Russ, rest his soul, recently passed. He was my mentor. He had someone reach out to him asking for mentorship. And this is an amazing story. He agreed to mentorship, but the payment for his mentorship was doing my podcast because he was a videographer. So here I am getting mentored from this guy who now has this younger guy fresh out of college with media helping me with my podcast. And as I'm getting mentored from Charles and he's mentoring my other friend who's a really good friend of mine now, he's rocking with us, helping us build the podcast. I'm not in the exact mentoring phase with him, but we're doing something together. We're learning something together. And as life happens, like, hey man, I'm thinking about asking my girlfriend to marry me. What was your process of looking up a ring? Things like that. Because we always think mentorship is strictly business. But if you have a mentor that only works on your business, that's a coach. It's not a mentor, right?
Mhm.
If you have a mentor who's only working on time management, for example, I coach on time management, and I say coach because if you come to me with a specific problem on time management, I just want to teach you time management. If someone comes to me for mentorship, I want to look at your whole life. I'm not just going to touch on your business. I'm going to touch on your personal. I'm going to touch on your psyche. I'm going to touch on your mental. I'm going to touch on your relationships. I'm going to touch on your financials. I'm going to touch on your, and you might be coming to me because you want to run a podcast like Ted does. Yeah, great. But I'm also going to mentor you to run a podcast like Ted does, who still was able to get married, have a daughter, and build a family, right? Like that's my joy in life. That's my peace at home. So I know that's a bit of a long-winded answer, but I just wanted to kind of delineate the difference between coaching and mentorship. And I think that mentorship happens with more intentionality, more on the holistic side. And I think the coaching aspect where I'm actually taking a specific skill set, focus, and area and niche in life and pouring into others, that was about a year or so ago, year and a half ago when I've identified my unique skill in that ability.